G'day mates, Mike here. It's been almost 3 years since I discovered the Stairdom. Unbelievable. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
I have peanut butter.
In those 3 or so years, one venture surprisingly hasn't been undertaken. I haven't reviewed Elf Boy's magnum opus, his immortality project, Embers Ghost Squad. There's a pretty good reason for that.
Unleash the candy! Unleash the candy!
These animations are so awful, so creatively inept, they drop my sanity to such startling lows, I'm forced into a nut house with Sheldon Cooper, Hannibal Lecter and Michael Myers as therapists. Just being forced to watch this crap alone should warrant donations and memberships in the thousands. Your choice though. I appreciate contributions, but there's more to life than money. Today, we're going to pick this abysmal excuse of an animated series apart. So sit down, pop some pinks, and prepare for an excruciating brain aneurysm. Time to review Embers Ghost Squad. But what exactly makes a good story? As a digital media alumnus at the top of my field, I know firsthand what makes a wonderful, immersive story to complement your exquisite animation skills. First, What a waste of 3 years. 4 years. I can't waste too much time explaining story structure. We have 24 episodes of this rhino to digest. According to Reedsy, don't worry, I checked other sources, an excellent story contains an exposition, rising and falling actions, a climax, and a conclusion. There are different structures out there, yet for the most part they pertain to the same characteristics. Keep this formula in mind when we dissect each episode. Depending on type, you'll see varying levels of failure here. Either there is no structure, or the fundamentals are executed poorly. This could be due to a lack of understanding, but more likely it stems from confused character design. I could make a whole video on each character alone. Hideous. Dreadful. Double plus ungood. Just a few words you might use to describe this narcissistic, selfish, greed-inducing hole of an economic system infesting the globe like locusts. I use it to describe Embers Ghost Squad. All the episodes suck, but one is so cringe-inducing, it gave me a near-fatal heart attack just watching the first 20 seconds.
In a world full of buttholes.
I thought EGS was a butthole-free zone. What the f*** was he thinking here? It can't be a Sydney Secor trailer, can it? I mean, he already did that. Is he promoting Amber's Ghoul Gang? Pretty short-sighted, since it contrasts the aggressively violent elf theme of the show. The video only exposes Sydney's brain-dead immaturity, but that's already common knowledge. Like Randy's sexuality. So why the f*** make this shit? Perhaps he's expressing his closeted feelings towards forbidden chasms.
Big, hairy, oily, scary butthole!
Brother, ugh!
Everything goes back to buttholes after all.
You know it's gonna come back to buttholes.
In storytelling, writing is king. When composing creative works, an important principle shines: wording. The bane of many students' lives is the dreaded word count. Well, before the arrival of ChatGPT anyway. Excessive overflows of filler words are employed by many a student to fulfill the criterion. Yet, this tactic flies in the face of a golden rule of writing. Omit unnecessary words. Shouldn't have written butthole 500 times. Idiot. Intuitive writers curtail such words, creating a smoother flow and a more enjoyable experience. The most notorious follower of this principle is none other than Stephen King, emphasizing this multiple times in his memoir on writing. Evidently, Randy wasn't a big fan, as contrary to an arrogant self-assessment, his childish, amateur writing showcases an impatient inability to read anything more than the credits of Friendship is Magic. Look no further than conspiring an unkind deed. Many wrongs plagued this project. The implicit messaging, the elf projection, his inability to comprehend anchor points. But the inclusion of unnecessary filler words sticks out the most. Take the first sentence of the tape, for example.
There are very few words to describe to the world on how I truly feel about people.
Examples infest this video, but quite frankly, I'm nitpicking at this point. If the characters weren't naive teenagers, I wouldn't care so much, but when writing characters, you should at least put effort into impersonation. Recently, I reread Wonder. As I progressed through the novel, I was struck by the crude vocabulary, yet it didn't take me long to realise the reasoning. It's because August is a 10-year-old boy. So when you have dialogue like this,
You stupid human!
Everyone is born in the shadows.
We were like bread and butter, baby!
I swear to God, Sydney, sometimes I want to crack open your skull and force you to drink the fluid draining from your head!
Oh, and if you think you're going to stop the get hot,
it sounds so stupid. So how about the content? To surmise, Elf Boy goes on a schizophrenic rant in his Führer bunker about how his life sucks. Furthermore, he outlines his desire for fame through infamy, his understanding and allegiance to the squad and its intentions.
We want fresh souls, strong souls, outcast souls, souls with little to no direction and little to no future. We want people dead, and we want them dead now!
Jesus Christ. He's describing me to a T. EGS mic confirmed. Many people cite works like this as an example of Randy communicating his intent to the world so people could stop him. The validity of this argument is questionable at best, but that's not why we're here. Oh yeah, and here's a complimentary Columbine reference.
You can try and stop us, but guess what? We don't give a because we're gonna die doing it. And so will you.
Transitioning to my next point. Another important factor is character design. When inevitably seeking advice on how to get to poontang, dudes may refer to the importance of looks. While this is partially true, aesthetics only assist in first impressions, not so much fostering long-term passionate relationships. Here, personality comes into play. First, there's the protagonist, the hero. They could possess physical and mental strength, yet carry exploitative flaws. They could be a cunning underdog, looking to make their mark or cause the ultimate upset. They could even be an unwilling candidate, forced to garner fortitude for the greater good. Then there's the antagonist, the villain. These are the people we love to hate, or just love. They might be a spoiled high school bully, a crazy homicidal emperor, or a ruthless warlord hell-bent on achieving their malevolent goals. Perhaps they're a caricature of the protagonist's weaknesses or dark past and urges. Regardless, believable characters must have strengths and weaknesses, relatable enough to like and understand, yet not so much that they just end up being an army of mini Randys.
you know, if you pull every character apart, it's a piece of me.
If you ever make the misfortunate mistake of pressing play on Randy's atrocious artworks, ask yourself this: who fills the primary roles? What motivates them? Why are they in the squad, and what are their long-term goals? Look no further than the demented dumpster fire that is Finding a Purpose. For all the hype Randy tried to drum up surrounding his creativity, he really botched this episode. If anything, this is a tale of lost potential. EGS, where half the viewing experience is the introduction, though that's probably quite generous of me. The story begins with some random guy walking in the woods, angry for reasons. Oh look, somebody doesn't know about orc cycles. Even I can animate those properly, Randy. This is far from the only example of amateur animation. Suddenly, with no context whatsoever, our main character Celesta Reynolds appears, scaring the out of our boy before trying to cringe kill him with a miniature tirade.
You stupid human! You're always getting in my way!
Come on, she's supposed to be a ghost, not some sort of cute, cuddly animal trying to sound intimidating. When this inevitably doesn't work, she zaps him with her gun, vaporizing him. I could do a whole video about this scene alone, but I've already made an hour-long video this year. This will probably be longer. What is wrong with me? After, Sydney appears, questioning Celesta on her rash decision. This is the rising action, the portion where the most potential is lost. Not one iota of character development is achieved here. Sydney's cameo should challenge Celesta's view on killing some random guy. Speaking of, why couldn't there be a backstory here? He could have been an abusive ex, a employer or co-worker. Heck, he could have even been a petty sibling or relative who pulled some immature, annoying pranks on her during Thanksgiving dinner. But no, he was in my way. How shallow can you get? The backstory could have been used to explain Celesta's anger. It could have been her motivation not only for being the protagonist, but being in the squad. Without this, she just comes across as a self-entitled, narcissistic asshole who thinks she's the center of the universe. Kinda like her creator.
I'm gonna cut myself. I cut myself and it hurt and I cried. Well, why'd you do it?
See what I mean? Back to Sydney. Yes, she's not the brightest. Nevertheless, she still could have successfully calmed Celesta down, creating internal character growth. Perhaps Sydney could tell a small story or a saying that accidentally convinces Celesta to think twice before her actions. Maybe Celesta could realise that killing people for sentimental reasons is futile because it risks either the squad's existence being prematurely discovered or being filled with inadequate recruits. But instead, she doubles down, hurling Sydney towards a tree. I have to ask, why are Sydney and Celesta in the squad anyway? Sydney's too passive and stupid, and Celesta's too irrationally angry. Neither of them have any real motive to murder anyone on Earth, let alone any agenda in the squad. This could be easily remedied by adding it to the EGS wiki, but no, all the characters are just elf soners. Continuing the trend of poor story and script writing, we have The Breakup, Alex Gebhardt's only tape. In it, he reacts to his girlfriend dumping him due to his workaholism. When a friend goes through a nasty breakup, do you sympathise? The feeling of hope for a better tomorrow, shattered into a million pieces. Or do they just come across as a confused, overinvested, whiny little like Alex? I don't feel a shred of sympathy for him, and I've had some really nasty experiences. I understand the distress of being dumped. But what made Emily so special? Why did she motivate him to get up in the morning, let alone destroy 2 innocent beakers? The closest he comes to reminiscing on a special moment was choosing his university campus and whining about her parents. No description of her appearance, voice, personality traits, nothing. He acts as if she is the one, yet he can't even remember how they met. An unintended theme of The Breakup is a world full of contradictions. Alex is so invested in his work, he neglects Emily to the point of her breaking up. Yet, when she inevitably does, he says he's willing to give it all up for her. Sounds like he only really wanted the status. Furthermore, he claims the breakup was unexpected, yet the signs were there.
I mean, I thought it was strange that she didn't call me for the last 2 days. Emily and I did everything together.
Except toiling away in a lab making papier-mâché volcanoes for 15 hours straight.
She helped me follow my dreams of becoming a scientist.
Yeah, by dumping you. Contradictions aside, the video's biggest flaw is the lost potential. The worst mistake Randy made was deliberately omitting the actual breakup from the video, just because he thought the transition looked cool. Why was Alex so devastated at this particular breakup? What was so abnormal about it? Alex could have been an incel archetype. His life could have turned for the worst, through struggles in his studies or the loss of a loved one. Emily's change of heart could have come from this sudden struggle and her unwillingness to partake. Her seemingly sudden decision could be the final straw. Why not make Emily a wolf in sheep's clothing? Make her a self-centered hoe that only used Alex for personal gain. His hyperfixation on work could even be the crux for her cheating on him with a stereotypical Giga Chad. The experience could break Alex. He could grow disillusioned with life, dating, and higher status people. This distrust could manifest into an extreme hatred for humanity, with an underlying desire to mold the species into his own image. That could have been his purpose in the squad. But no, let's just have a relatively normal breakup from a kind-hearted woman with mostly valid reasons. Being taken in by an unhinged, socially naive whinge bag who takes his anger out on innocent Beaker. Yeah, that's good story writing and character development, isn't it, Elf Boy? Great way to make Alex the bullet Emily dodged. It's just a shame Alex couldn't dodge trees. Might as well listen to the other tapes now, since they're all similar enough in structure and flaw. What better tape to analyse next than the much anticipated sequel to Rando's beloved Conspiring an Unkind Deed? No doubt an improvement on the original, though not by much. Conspiring an Unkind Deed 2 follows Rachel Selensky, a 20-year-old high school student, if you can believe that, as she discusses her unfavourable experiences and her desire to be remembered as a historic figure. Right off the bat, the opening narration is horrific. While the theme is somewhat substantial, particularly the bullying motif, the tone of Elf Boy's narration is all His pitch is way too high, giving a kind of sympathetic undertone in favour of the bullies. Rachel's tape is basically female Eric Harris. While being bullied is her motive, it's not really a great drive for murdering innocent civilians, especially since she knew none of her victims. This motive falls further flat due to her age. She repeated grade 12 twice. Not once, twice. How does this make sense? Why would she be so mad when she can just drop out? Go to TAFE or something, start an OF. I'm sure there's plenty of sickos who'd pay for it. Furthermore, she complains about the students, judging them in such a superficial manner, it makes me question who the real bully is. Moreover, she deliberately stumbles into her life problems and pet peeves. Repeating grade 12 comes to mind, but getting pissy at Jennifer's social media posts comes off as pathetic.
A little tip to anybody else who gets agitated by social media updates, like, someone always posting on their Facebook what they're doing. You can unfollow them. Just do that.
Like I said, mini Randys. Overall, it's an improvement on the first tape, but still suffers a great many flaws. At least the voice acting is good. Props to Laura. Next, on our relatively large list of EGS tapes, we have the first of two Mackenzie West videos. The scariest experience of my life. Voiced by none other than Wubcake. You know, the manipulative, malicious sack of who allegedly strangled her own grandmother, punched a teacher in the stomach, harassed, stalked, and took advantage of exes and former friends. It's even alleged that she groomed, manipulated, and multiple minors. So, you're totally fine helping a racist, genocidal psychopath, yet an MLP Thomas the Tank Engine crossover gives you the ick? You Wubs. If you're wondering, Wubcake reached out to Randy, not vice versa. Quite damning if you think about it. Enough about that, for now. What do I think of the story? Well, it's nothing to write home about. It begins with Mackenzie and Froggy rummaging through a box of her old crap. Suddenly, they stumble upon tapes recorded before her death. She reflects on recent paranormal occurrences, obviously implying an EGS recruiter ghost is stalking her. It all comes to a head during a basketball match, when towards the end of the game, she notices a ghost staring at her from outside a window. She freaks out and hides in a toilet stall. The voice acting is complete shit. No wonder Randy ditched Wubs. There's no real emotional impact like with Laura, though I know who would have been the perfect replacement. The writing isn't as bad considering Mackenzie's character. I think of her as somewhat more intellectual.
The date is, silly me. I forgot what the date is.
Is Elfboy trying to make her sound stupid because that's what he likes in a girl? To control them? Quite frankly, if this video proves anything, it's how little sense the Mackenzie West character makes to the EGS universe. Her vulnerable personality directly conflicts with Ember's elf doctrine. Her recruitment against her desires will be discussed later. Either Ember is a complete who can't recruit to save her life, or Mackenzie is just a figment of Randy's imagination. His personal toy, so to speak. There's always that one obnoxious prick in the group LARPing as a realist, stating, "This and this sounds amazing in theory, but in practice it never works." Enter the legend of Brooker Swamp. For a video with such a cool title, it's nothing short of a confused clusterfuck. For whatever reason, Randy decided it was a good idea to siphon through old childhood videos, rip out the audio, and try to put it back together in a coherent manner. One problem with this strategy is creative restraint. While a basic plot exists, the execution is abhorrent. Half the time, I don't know who's who or where they're going. What even attacks them? Furthermore, it's disgusting who he names the two characters after. Just an absolute disaster. Still, could be worse.
How it feels to chew 5 gum.
You know how I said there were 24 episodes of this hippo to digest? Well, I wasn't lying as such, just unknowing of the full context. Of all the EGS videos Randy posted, only 4 were full-scale productions, 6 were tapes, and 2 were, well, they were something.
I hope you all die.
This leaves 7 videos which I have classified as trailers/promos. Ah yes, the biggest telltale sign of a narcissist. Constantly bigging yourself up, only for the end results to be underwhelming at best. Since most of these trailers are just jumbles of reused footage, I'll quickly elaborate. Of all the trailers, this has to be one of the best. A complete and utter cacophony of reused videos, footage, voiceovers, and Randy yelling about petty life shit only high school students would care about. I'm starting to think there are some even darker, more sinister intentions behind Randy's high school theme. Music is cool though. Just a shame he can't scroll properly. Or give credit. Continuing with this theme, we have a returning EGS tapes trailer, which I have the same criticisms for. Good music, but jumbled clusterfuck of everything else. Not awful, just not good. Remember when I mentioned a Sydney Secor teaser trailer in the World Full of Buttholes section? Well, here it is. Hang on. I thought Elfboy hated Star Wars. It consists of Sydney Secor trying and failing to play the guitar. She is part of the EGS band after all. The story is unique in the sense of structure. Instead of the default no structure, we have use of Freytag's pyramid, but in a comedic sense rather than tragic. He made one video thanking his fans, all 200 of them, and there's really not much to say about it. Next. When researching for this video, I thought the premiere edition of the EGS intro was just an older version of the one used in his Westboro video. This intro has its own entire video too. Randy was that desperate for clout, he made sure to let everybody know Send Request made the music. As I've said in previous videos, these intros are amongst his better animation works, particularly the 2017 edition. The transitions are smooth, and the use of comeback songs suits well. However, there is a brief backstory in the premiere edition, which rips off Danny Phantom's Ember story with an unhealthy seasoning of edgy Elfboy nihilism. Don't forget the dialogue and animation. Who wants to sing a song? Yeah, I was never into musicals myself. Always found them kind of annoying. Are you ready for a sugar rush? Oh, come on! What about frogs? Everybody loves frogs, right? Fuck! Unleash the Candy was meant to be Randy's 2016 Halloween special. However, his eternal laziness prohibited a timely upload, so he posted this instead. Oh my god. Where do I even begin? Where to begin? The first half of the video is, of course, the introduction. Then we are greeted with Elf Boy and Pepe as they roam the streets on the edge of an old Pocket Edition server, searching for candy. Froggy is the comedic sideshow, whereas Elf Boy's self-insert is the comically evil, narcissistic, manipulative psychopath. Just give Froggy the candy and move on! Oh my god! Amber, you suck at recruitment! They approach the house, knock on the door. Now, an elderly man answers, holding candy in anticipation. Sadly, he didn't anticipate a cringed little elf holding a pistol to his forehead.
Trick or treat!
To Froggy's extreme disappointment, it turns out the old bastard was secretly running an illegal coin melting facility. Wait, hold up. I have the script here. Baby Ruths. What the f*** are those?
But I wanted to taste the chocolatey goodness of the babe!
Weird wording, especially since the candy's namesake, Ruth Cleveland, was 12 at the time of her death. Trying to tell us something, huh? Also, why is the frame rate so God, this animation is awful! When you think Randy's character couldn't get bad enough. Team Ban explains to Froggy about the whole squad shtick, just like Celesta. Makes me think the only reason he made these was to portray himself as some kind of intellectual prophet. He had no consideration for Froggy's feelings, no empathy. Over what? A piece of candy? What a sadistic piece of shit. Who refuses their friends some confectionaries? He even stomps on the one piece Froggy almost attains, as if he's deliberately trying to torment him. What the f*** is wrong with you?
Unleash the candy! Unleash the candy!
Oh my god. I'm done. I can't take this anymore. No. Sorry guys, I'm back now. Just had to go get my testicles squashed by an elephant to relieve the suffering. Despite my criticisms of the abomination that is EGS, there is one episode that isn't completely insufferable. One diamond beneath the everlasting pile of Hitler. Mackenzie West is an enigma. The most uncharacteristic soul in the squad. Her kind-hearted and shy personality stands out amongst an army of insufferable My Life Is Over exemplifies this perfectly. She reflects on her death and eternal enslavement to the squad, wondering what her friends and family would think. Her death is by far the most tragic in the squad, being stalked and brutally murdered by a stranger. Whilst there isn't much in terms of story structure, the video makes up for it in emotional impact. In particular, her contemplation of her parents' feelings and her self-disappointment struck a chord with me. But personally, my favourite scene is the final one, where her teammate places the trophy on her grave. Granted, there's still a negative or two. This video doesn't do justice to explain why Mackenzie should be in the squad. The admittance of unwilling squad members makes Ember look like a severely incompetent leader. What is the point of having kind, goofy individuals in a squad whose intention is to hijack the planet and kill and enslave humanity? She never read The Prince, did she? Oh yeah, and the animation still sucks donkey.
Full-time in the fucking store as a part-time fucking worker.
For most of us, art is our refuge from reality. When life's depression hijacks us, we turn to our imagination for comfort. Some use art to express themselves. Others imagine a universe far, far away. Some special few have made it their life's mission to ruin art with computer programs that steal others' work and mold it together to create amalgamations that destroy livelihoods, create mass misinformation, endanger society, and destroy the very fabric of what it means to be human. Art's subjective nature has the ability to polarize just as much as in power, for good or for worse. Art's interpretation is distinct between groups and individuals. However, in the case of some forms, principles can guide you towards a finer creation with the potential to touch the hearts of many. You might have different tastes from me, you might interpret things differently, see a different message, but it's hard for me to believe anyone could unironically like Embers Ghost Squad with all its drawbacks. This is a series that was so bad, its creator had to murder multiple people just to get it noticed. His animation skills were lackluster, with amateur mistakes littering the work. I can't really blame him due to his lack of time and sheer effort it takes to animate, but he should have learnt the basics first. And yes, I can tell he didn't. The writing is He overcomplicates the character dialogue just to sound intelligent, when in reality it showcased his ineptitude and egocentric life attitude. The storytelling is a disorganized cluster with messy roles and ending. It's as if he was writing single scenes rather than a whole show. And don't even get me started on the characters. All I'll say is their personalities are shallow Randy copies. Their stories are unrealistic and uninspiring. Their purpose and motives in the squad are never contextualized, let alone justified. If anything, he did the opposite. Each character is a rebel without a cause. An individual's artwork is a reflection of themselves and their interpretations of life. When watching EGS, you get the impression its creator is an individualistic narcissist with a god complex. A man who simultaneously wanted admiration and sympathy. A man who wanted to treat others like yet act like the victim when they fought back. A man who always believed he was right, who was not only unable to take criticism from others, but lacked the ability to critique himself. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. When I reflect on the shortcomings of Embers Ghost Squad, I can't help but think that those who like it don't like the work itself, but the man behind it. In a way, I'm glad Randy was as talented as an infant. Had he possessed better animation and storytelling abilities alongside social skills, he may have managed to manipulate more individuals into sympathising with him and his cause. Nevertheless, his work still reminisces with the minds of naive youngsters who feel rejected and alone. The nastiest element of his work was his deeper intentions, something far more sinister than anybody could imagine.
My goals are extreme, but one of them is a must. I want to form a cult following. If it happens after I'm dead, then so be it. But I want people to spread EGS around the globe and to perform mass sacrificing their lives for the squad. Something tells me at least one human will take their own life from watching EGS, and the parents will cause a national uproar over it, all towards me. And I'll just say, what do you want me to do about it? And that be it. Humans, always looking to blame somebody. Keep a better eye on your kids then, you morons.
Some may see me as harsh or a bully, but at the end of the day, life is never as simple as it seems. There are those out there who preach blind love and acceptance, yet can't perceive life's nuances. A special few actively go out of their way to deceive others into believing their intentions are good, while springing a sinister trap. Ultimately, what matters in the end is intent. The biggest barrier to a better tomorrow is humanity's inability to perceive the intentions of others, whether they want to build a paradise or undo the hard work of previous generations. The truth is, sometimes we have to do bad things for good reasons. Sometimes the end justifies the means. But our collective responsibility is to interpret the intent and ensure a better world for everyone.